This is the Everyday Hustle Show, where our number one priority is self-development.
Each week, we will dive into insightful topics that encourage you to push your thinking beyond average.
Smash that subscribe button and tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m.
All right, welcome everyone to another edition of the Everyday Hustle Show. This is episode 62.
62 episodes in the bag. Holy shit.
Let's put a little energy into this introduction here.
Yeah, Drew. So my name is Christian. I'll go.
My name's Christian.
Quick go around.
For all
quick go
y'all
around.
who didn't know me
How
out
you guys
there.
doing tonight?
The first one is the wise guy over here. Andrew, go ahead. How you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. 2 consecutive days of record sales at the Juice Bar and an afternoon of drone piloting, filming, jet skiing.
God damn.
So-
Jesse,
snap.
I'm
Jesse,
vibing
you
right
better
now.
be able to top
yeah,
that.
Yeah, that's a 21st century.
Jesse broke his
life
jet
right
ski.
there.
Yeah, you know what?
Jesse, you got to top that.
I broke my jet ski today, but it is fixable. Number
Okay.
one. Number two, I am less than 5 hours away from my 31st birthday.
God damn.
So
Sheesh.
I am a pillar of hope.
There you go.
What'd you
Drew.
do to the jet ski?
Steering
You messed it all up.
steering
You hit something?
cable part. Nope. I'm just out there riding.
Just living life.
Freaking whipping
Too
it
aggressive.
around. Yep.
Dude, yeah, be
What was the
careful.
highlight of your... You're going to be 31 next month?
Tomorrow, dude.
31 tomorrow?
Five
What was the
Yes.
highlight of your 30th year on planet Earth?
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's a
I
great
don't know that
question.
there was a single moment that topped anything, but there was nothing bad this year.
Okay.
Nothing
Guess
bad.
that's a plus.
You know, I'm
He's
just
always got the lamest shit.
I'm just telling you, like
Like, dude, did you go on any memorable trips?
Tampa, freaking Disney,
like-
freaking.
yeah, it was all great.
Oh, Daytona.
Daytona was pretty cool, but it was I don't know, nothing like blew my mind.
Well, you know, Jesse's kind of even keel.
just
Yeah.
freaking-
You know,
I
he's just
stay
kinda-
calm.
typical blue collar guy, you know.
Just stay
he's
calm.
just chilling, dude. He's just freaking.
And then we got special guest Timmy. How you feeling tonight, brother?
Yo, I have no complaints, man.
All the way from New York, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, it's fucking snowing in New York. Oh,
Ooh,
we allowed
yeah.
to curse, dude?
Yeah.
you can let it fly.
Yeah.
Let her rip, dude.
I was
Let it
like,
rip.
all right, screwed it up already. Yeah.
Let her rip.
No, man, it's like snowing in New York. So I mean, it's like 80-some degrees here. I've been in constant pursuit of like I'm a sun chaser, you know.
Okay.
So like it's always summer here. I'm
Yeah.
just so thrilled to have been here since like we got January 25th. We got down here, right? Yeah, thereabouts, you know. So
The weather's been spot on too.
Yeah.
A few days of cloud, a little bit of rain, but
Yeah.
this time of year is always the best down here.
yeah,
This
I
is
mean,
when everyone comes to visit. January, February.
how are the crowds? Did the crowds increase in the summertime, or they? It still
that
does,
season.
right?
Yeah. Oh wait, summertime. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant winter.
Okay.
So,
okay.
winter, we got the winter birds. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Snowbirds, Chris.
Snowbirds. So
Got it.
Winter
Yeah.
birds, snowbirds. Man, that's all the same.
But like summertime, still, it's not
I
at the
think
equivalent maybe of what it is now, or
maybe younger crowd.
Not as bad.
Yeah, not as bad. Though.
Not as bad.
like you don't get the spring or the summer break crowd. January.
No,
or
because it's
July-
too hot for
July.
most people down here.
in
Got
hurricane
it.
season.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So Timmy's down here from New York, and he is. Tell people what you're doing. I'm going to introduce
sure.
you, and we're going to get into your story and all that. But tell them specifically what you're doing in Florida right now.
So we make an all-natural icy. It's kind of similar to a frozen smoothie, right? And we package it in a squeeze pop, and we wholesale it or direct sell it to stores, right? We literally make the market, right? So, kind of figured, January, February, terrible time to be in New York to sell that product.
Right.
And now is a much better time to come down to Florida. I knew Jay. Jay and I have been talking for a couple of years about bringing the product down here, and we isolated this as a good time to do it. So we've been down here for the last month. Literally just kind of get up every day, load some product in the truck, take a look at the map, take a street, drive all the way down that street, and just walk into any single store that we think may have a freezer in it, sell the product in, transact some business, and put up some posters, mark it on the map, go down to the next one, and just do it and do it and do it. We got about 150 of them this month.
Dude.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Here
I think
in
we're closer,
South Florida?
closing on that.
150
Yeah, South Florida.
locations
Yeah.
that you sold to?
150 locations.
Damn, that's
So
fire.
we're going to get into the details on that company, and I want to ask you specifically about those transactions and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, a little bit about yourself for the listeners. So I always ask everyone for like a short little bio.
Sure.
You know, you submitted yours, and it's always good to talk about our accomplishments out loud. A lot of times people think that, oh, because I accomplished this thing, it's small or it may not mean a lot to you, but to someone else it could be a big deal.
Yeah. Sure.
So we've been doing the introductions, and I liked yours. You said we could put it all out there, so I'm just gonna kind of read it like you submitted to me. So Timmy said that he quit drinking back in 2001, and at that time he poured his spirit into making rap music. He toured the U.S. and overseas quite a bit, and his claim to fame was a track called "Last Call." Ultimately got him as far as the Oprah Winfrey Show. If you guys want to check out that video, just search YouTube Timmy Grins Last Call. I watched the video. He said it's pretty intense, and you're right. It is pretty intense. It was super cool, though. So he's owned a mini golf course, a cafe, a few ice cream stores, and had a very successful hip-hop and snow sports tour called the Third Rail Jam. Leading up to now, a few years ago, starting the Cool Suppliers. And again, they make frozen smoothies and a stylish squeeze pop. He's in South Florida now, obviously opening market. We just kind of went over that. But let's talk about the rap music first.
Sure.
Did you, like, growing up, were you into hip hop? Like,
Yeah.
Obviously, you're from
Oh,
New
yeah.
York, so I'm
Brooklyn,
sure you were
yeah.
down with like Nas and Mobb Deep and all
Yeah,
those dudes.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what?
yeah,
Like, how'd you get into it?
Well, for me, it was like I grew up in Sussex County first, right? Jay and I are from the same county, and it's like I actually had a track about it, and it's like not far from PA, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I know PA because of that, right? It's like we listened to Hot 97 even when we had static on the radio just to hear the hip hop, So it was
Right.
like such a fresh new thing, kind of making its way, because like I came up on like Public Enemy,
Okay.
I came up on NWA, right? Like
Right.
that late 80s, early 90s rap, right? It was like
And
it
at that
really
time,
started
you were
to-
how old?
I was in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade.
Right on. Okay.
So
early
for me,
teen angst years.
yeah. It's right at the forefront of that. And my
Yeah.
father had left at that time. So it was like, my dad left in 5th grade, right? So it was like I left this void in me at that point in time. So rap music and me, we got along quick.
Right.
Right? And especially NWA, the Ghetto Boys, Public Enemy, angry rap music. I really fell into it, So then as a natural byproduct, myself and a couple of kids in class, we started just writing raps and kicking raps. So it just became this funny little thing, right? But then as time went on, I just found myself being, I guess I was all right at it. Like I could put words together that rapped, that had rhythm. I kind of put a little something together. I knew how to develop a flow, a style. And I just kind of finding more and more places to kind of express myself in rap, right? And that got me deeper and deeper into kind of hip hop, right? And then I started just recording music. I recorded my first track actually out in Tennessee of all places. I had a friend of mine who was from New York, New Jersey, who opened up a studio out in Tennessee. And he's like, yo, you should come out, man. And I just randomly got in the studio, laid down something. It was garbage. It was terrible, but it was all of a sudden I was like, wow, this feels really good,
Yeah.
And it was a part of me that was like, I can push this. So I did. But honestly, like it wasn't until I quit drinking that's like for me where I started really getting into rap. Because like randomly I used to get drunk and perform and I was terrible.
Seems
I
like
couldn't
that's
catch
just
the
kind of
beat, I'd be falling all over the place. It was not just
It's like the industry standard. They're smoking weed while they're recording. It's like
that's
just
the
like
most random thing.
Yeah.
And it's like what's so funny and it's this summer on the Warped Tour, right? There's a kid touring with us called MC Bravado. Now, MC Bravado, he's a real up-and-coming kind of dude, right? And I talked to him before we went out on tour. And I was like, look, bro, because he came out to work and hustle with us and rap on the hip-hop stage on the Warped Tour, right? So because when you're out on the Warped Tour, when you're an independent kind of guy, you don't make a lot of money. right?
Gotta sell them t-shirts.
Unless you sell that merch.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? But we got these ices, these frozen smoothies, right? And out on the Warp Tour,
In the summer,
there's
you kidding
15,
me?
20,000 people.
Yeah, that's
It's-
a good place for that.
It's the easiest kind of merch you can sell.
Yeah.
So part of my kick to other artists, I was like, yo, come on our tour bus. You guys can sell and you can perform too. So he had this in his head. He's like, wait a second though. I normally get messed up before I get on stage. So I was like, well, you can't do that, obviously, because then you can't sell. And if you can't sell, you really can't be out here, because that's really the premise of why we're here, right? Well, he then started performing sober all summer long, and now he's like, wow, what an
Crushing it.
eye-opener. What a big change. And for me, I felt the same thing. It's like all of a sudden, you were truly, truly on that stage, and there was nothing. Like, it was like just such a real experience, right? There was no like, I'm getting drunk, I'm getting high, and I'm manufacturing the experience. It was real. Like, you felt it. You felt the chill. You felt the nervousness before you got on stage, the butterflies creeping up, all of that. You felt it, and it felt real good. And then when the beat came on, the exhilaration that went through you, the crowd, you could feel the crowd so much more. It was such a more intense experience than any other time when I was playing around having some drinks or smoking before I got on the stage. And here's the thing too, when you don't smoke and you don't drink and you go on stage, you never forget your lyrics.
Right.
Ever. You know, I have a story. We were up in Canada, right? My homie was hammered. We were opening up for Gym Class Heroes, right?
What?
This was a tremendous show for us. In the middle of who knows where, Guelph, Canada, okay? Guelph's like north of Toronto, big college town, right? We're opening up for them, huge crowd. My homie is with me. He's hammered, right? At the sound check, he's like killing it. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be such a good show. We're going to sell so much merch. This is going to be great, right? We come out from the soundtrack. I'm like, bro, you were really killing it. This is gonna be a good night. He goes like, I'm fucking hammered. And I'm like, it's 7:30. We go on at 10:30, right? We got 3 hours. I come back like an hour later after setting up the merch booth. He's passed out. I'm like, whoa. Now I'm like, we gotta get this guy some Red Bull, right? We gotta get some Red Bull. We pour some Red Bull in his throat, right? What happens? They don't sell Red Bull in the town. Because apparently taurine was outlawed in parts of Canada, right? So there's no Red Bull. So I'm like, what am I going to do, right? So I finally find this little Chinese spot, like selling like yohimbe, right? Right? So I'm like, yo, give me as much as you can of that. I just pour that shit down his throat, pop him up. We go back out on stage, or we go out on stage. He's sitting there getting ready to rhyme, beats coming in. He's got the fucking, the yohimbe can in one hand. He's got the mic in the other hand. He starts crushing, rapping into the yohimbe can. Right? And I'm like, oh, bro. And then he did the same verse like 3 times in a row.
Oh, man.
And I was like, there goes the show.
Yeah.
Right? You know? So it's moments like that I'm like, see, that won't happen.
Yeah, the opportunity.
Jesse, you're a musician, and you also, funny enough, spent some time in Tennessee. So have you, like, what's your experience with music on and off drugs?
Well, my whole experience is a little different. I would think performing is got to be its own high.
Its own beast.
Which arguably could be more rewarding and better.
Yeah.
Because there's absolutely no fucking consequences.
I always thought
from
that
it.
drugs and alcohol gave me like a better understanding and like a deeper connection to the music.
Yeah.
And then like when I stopped
you're
using
like,
drugs and
nah, like,
alcohol
that was
and listened to music, I was like, wow, it sounds so much
That's
fucking
just
better.
something you told yourself. But for me, being clean, I haven't really done a whole lot of music because most of like the last couple years of my addiction, like I don't know, somehow I kind of lost.
But still, as a hobby, you play.
Every now and then.
How do you?
But
you feel good when you play.
I'm looking to
you gotta start
in
a
the next
band,
couple
dude.
of years, like I want to start performing because I was always like behind the scenes recording other people and stuff, but I want to like do some sort of like small little
duo
gig performance where we're just playing at little fucking bars on the beach or some shit,
So are you doing, Timmy? Are you doing any music now, or is it
you never stop.
Cool Suppliers?
It's for the most part, it's Cool Suppliers.
Okay.
You never stop. Like, it's still like, today I'm rapping in the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some drum beat came on and I just started freestyling, right? I'm like, oh, I can't catch this, just random stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's not
Not putting out any
I haven't
new
put
music.
out something
Yeah.
since like 2015.
How did you end up on the Oprah Winfrey
Yeah, I was
show?
gonna ask that too.
Oh, so that was a moment in time. Right? I did a lot of. So I dropped the video, right?
For that
I dropped
song,
the video.
Last Call?
Yeah. I dropped the video because I was doing a lot of speaking at high schools and colleges about the dangers of drinking and driving, and I was like, I need to replicate myself. Instead of me going in and kicking this live, how can I replicate this 100 times? So my homie filmed the video, guy Fabio Lomolino, filmed the video for me. And we put out the video, and then the video itself caught a little bit of fire. Right?
So the song is somewhat about drinking and
it's about
Addiction,
it's
Addiction.
drinking and driving.
Okay.
Yeah, it's drinking and driving, and it's partially my experience and partially the experience of a kid that I was in AA with. Right.
All right.
The kid I was in AA with hit a family of 4
Oh, shit.
on Christmas Eve. I'm sorry, New Year's Eve back in 2000, going into 2001, and he woke up in jail in a blackout. Now, I've woke up in jail in a blackout, and when you wake up in jail with a blackout, and you got fingertips of black, and you're looking around, you're like, whoa. You're like, what the fuck did I do to get here?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You try to piece the night back.
Yeah.
So he woke up in a blackout, okay, and he got charged with 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter. 2 people died. To this day, he doesn't remember doing it, right? So that's the finality kind of the track, right? But nonetheless, so I put out the track, and then from the track, it kind of spawned an audience of people, okay? People started to confide in me. And then at the time, I had this cafe and this miniature golf course, a couple ice cream stores, right? So a lot of younger kids were coming into the stores. We had this big outdoor concert area, right?
shit.
And a lot of kids were coming in to me, confiding to me about heroin, right? And all the fucked up shit that was going on in our town. A lot of kids died that year from heroin addiction. It was like 4 or 5 of them that died in a 4 or 5 month window. And we have a small town. There's 25,000 people in our town.
Yeah.
Our high school is like 2,000 kids, right? It's not a very, very big, it's a big high school, but it's not gigantic.
Right.
When 4 people die of an overdose in a 4-month window, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? So we're like, I said, we got to start to do something, right? So me and a couple other kids that from the school got together. We're like, hey, we got to do a march. We got to do a march. And our town is very activist in general. I grew up, they tried to dump radioactive materials in our town.
Oh, shit.
And so my mom, one of my first memories is my mom taking us to like the governor's mansion and like saying, hell no, we won't glow. Hell no, we won't glow, right? So there's always been this activist streak, that I remembered growing up. So this like just natural. Well, we got to do something. We got to push back. So we put up a Facebook event that we're going to go march down the middle of the street, and we're going to shut the whole block down. And the Facebook event got to like 10,000 people.
Wow.
So the police called me, and you know the police officers in town like that, right?
Yeah.
So I walked in, and I was like, well, this march is happening.
Yeah.
Because what am I going to do? Tell these kids, no? Hell no, we're going to walk. We're either going to shut the whole block down, or you can give us a police escort.
Right.
And that's what they did. They gave us a police escort, right? And then we marched all through the town, right? Kind of tear the cover off, and then we had a big rally at the end. And that's really where it got serious, right? Because the march was unifying. It was screaming and yelling. It was like good to get the angst out. But then we had this rally, and the tears started flowing. I mean, people started telling their stories. People started getting up, being like, yo, I got a problem. Like, people started coming out, right? Like, I got a problem. I can't. And this is 15, 16-year-old kids, right? Like, so it's like real for them. And it was actually, we publicized it so well that Curtis Sliwa from the Guardian Angels, you guys remember him? Back in the day, they wore the red berets, right? They used to protect people on the New York City subways.
Yeah.
This guy randomly showed up at the rally and delivered a speech at the end.
Wow.
So it was fucking like, wow, right? So it was like that, plus we tried to create a safe space at that concert area. Parents started to look at me like, yo, this young kid, he's been through it. He's been sober. He did this march, and they have this outsourced concert area. We're appealing to musicians. All of these things going on that this lady wrote a letter to Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, shit.
And she was like, yo, you got to find out about this guy. So Oprah had a thing where she honored people. It's like her heroes show of some sort, right? And I got invited. And the lady, I had met her one time. And she's like, yo, Oprah called. She says we got to be there on Tuesday.
Damn.
And I'm like, she lived in Indiana.
Yeah.
She's originally from our town. And we got to know each other, became friendly. But I was like, Carol, you got to give me something more than that.
Right.
So sure enough, she gives me a phone number. I call it. And they're like, yeah, fax us your info. You need to be there on Tuesday. And I was like, oh, snap, for real. This is really happening. And sure enough, we go there on Tuesday. But then it was funny, right? So this is where your fucking ego plays with you, right? There's a whole line of people. Now I'm thinking, people are like, yo, you're going to be on the couch.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that's going to be so intense, right? So I'm thinking, like, there's a whole line of other people, and they're all sitting there like, yo, did Oprah call you too? Yeah. And I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? Yo, so how come we're not at the front of the line? Is
Right,
Oprah over
right,
here?
right.
And they're all kind of saying the same thing. So turns out that she had invited like 40 or 50 people that had made a difference, right? And she said, you guys use your platform. She goes, I use my platform. You use yours. She goes, I want to reward you. So she's like, and then she rips off her skirt, and she's got this red outfit on. And then it starts snowing inside of the studio. What? And it's a show called Her Favorite Things, right? She starts giving shit away.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Got like $50,000 worth of shit, right? Got a fucking cruise. Got like all of this stuff that was really, because Oprah, she gears towards middle-aged women.
Yeah.
Right? So my mom had the Christmas she would never forget, right? Container store makeover, closets all new, oh my God, the random, a diamond watch. I mean, it's just random stuff. And I didn't even know what was going on. I'm just sitting there in the studio like, wow, this is nuts, man. And these ladies are going crazy around me. They're like, you don't even know. I'm like, no, I have no idea, so... But that was it, man. Cool. It was a super. I had a chance to meet her, and chopped it up a little bit, which was cool, But yeah, so it was like, it was kind of inspiring too. It was like, because another thing it showed me, right, is like, a lot of times people who do good, right, they feel like they don't get the reward.
Right.
Like you get that reward of knowing I did good, right? But then sometimes you reflect and you look back at 6 or 7 years worth of time where you've just given and you really don't feel like you get a lot in return. Because that's part of that depression that can set in when you're helping other people, right? You dedicate a lot to that. Well, here I was feeling a little bit that way, right? In the sense that I'm like, man, I'm just pouring this out to the world, and I want more people to be able to receive the love that I'm trying to give, and because I got the void too. Remember, I told you my father disappeared, right? So I had this void I've always been trying to fill, right? So it's like for that Oprah to give me all of that, I was like, wow, this is such an eye opener. Right? And it just motivates you to do even more, right? It keeps you going, right? So it was like one of those moments where it was like, I needed that.
Yeah, I
needed that, right? So it's funny the way the universe works. You get the pushes when you need them.
Right.
Provided you're focused on exactly what it is you want to do. I genuinely wanted to be in that place.
Yeah.
Right? So I continued to get the pushes along.
Nice.
So let's get to current... your current venture. Where did the idea or the inspiration for the Cool Suppliers company come from?
Sure. So
it's kind of a strange thing, your hip hop background, all this stuff, businesses. Well, you did have ice cream shop but where the idea for a frozen popsicle company?
Twofold. Two people. I did have the ice cream stores, right? And I remember standing in the stores looking out the window, and Jay was at the Franklin shop. I'd stand in there, and I was always trying to get customers to come into the store, right? And I looked across the street, there was a Starbucks. I looked up the block, there was a Quick Check. I looked down the block, there's a Lukoil gas station. There's another ice cream store. There's a sports fitness store. And every single one of them sold the frozen product. But it was easy. Go in, grab it, and go.
Right.
I was trying to get you to come in to my experience at an ice cream store. Owning an ice cream store is kind of a romantic idea,
right?
But it's horrible. It's such a tough business, right? Because first of all, when you're up north, you got several months to make money. Yeah, it doesn't work, and if it rains on the weekends,
I feel like here, like if you had like one like on Atlantic Ave and the Strip or somewhere like where there's a lot of restaurants like in a busy area or City Place, West Palm, like that would make sense. But it's got to be tough.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you know what? And so I'm an ice cream aficionado. It's a place called Dasher and Crank down by the Wynwood Walls. This guy has got ice cream like avocado toast. Ubu Macapuno. I mean, the guy has
gourmet
got
shit,
flavors, bro. Like unlike I've never seen, right? He had chocolate chipotle, right? I was like, it's like, really, really next level stuff, but ties right into what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
Location.
I was there like 10 times this past month, right? And it's February. So he could, but nonetheless, that was one. So I sat there and I'm like looking at it. I'm like, oh, you know what? This business is bad. I got to get out of this, The owning a store and trying to get people to come to me, really bad idea, right? And that business kind of fizzled out. But I was inspired by the idea of that summertime feeling, right? Okay, selling a frozen product. the smile, the good vibe that came with that, right? That was one. But then I saw a homeboy of mine, right, who made his own aloe drink. This is really what did it, okay? He had his own aloe drink. And this guy used to sell it from store to store to store. And he just made the market. And I was marveled by, he walked into the store and was like, hello, store owner. Here's my aloe drink. And he went through all the details of his aloe drink. And the guy bought it. And he bought like 4 or 5 cases.
Right.
And he gave him money right there on the spot. And I was like, no fucking way.
Right.
Wow. And I watched him do it over and over and over again. And I saw he built this little audience in New York City. He had like a couple thousand accounts in the Bronx. And I was like, man, that's it. That's it. And then
How long ago was this?
This was, so all of that happening was like 2012, 2013, right?
It's not called detox water, is it? It's not called
it's just
detox.
what's his aloe? Shit.
Well, the reason why I asked is somebody came into my juice bar and tried to sell me an aloe drink.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so I thought,
that's what he would do.
You know,
He would
exactly.
walk in.
And the guy was from New York.
There you go.
So I was like, shit.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
the
maybe
same
it's
guy.
him.
He's like, oh, we're on the Grammys and we're this, we're that. I'm like, oh, all right, guy. I was like,
Yeah,
I
I'll
got
take
no
a
fucking.
case.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Got no place to put it, right? Yeah, someone.
No, what I told him was, and like, it's hard when you're another small business. You know,
Sure.
you want to support everyone. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't really have much room in the cooler. I said, but if you want to leave some cases and, you know, come back in a couple weeks, if they sell, I'll pay you. But he was
Yeah.
like, I don't do that. I said,
Yeah, no, we don't either.
I said,
Yeah.
We don't
exactly.
either. Yeah, we don't either because you know we want the store owner to have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I respect that totally because
Yeah.
you know your business. So you're
Right,
looking at,
right.
like-
But if you're going into 7-Eleven and different gas stations, that's another story. I mean, those are big money,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
companies who.
Indeed. Yeah, for sure. They got good traction. But that those two moments, but what really brought it all together, right, was I was at a trade show 2013 down in Florida, down here at IAPA, you know, the amusement trade show. All the amusements, right? Friend of mine had amusements and I was helping him with some marketing. I'm walking around the trade show floor and I saw Minute Maid had this squeeze pop. And I was like, oh, that's fucking it right there. Oh, that's it. I could put him in this thing. I could brand the fuck out of it. And I could make a really delicious thing. So this is what we need to do. So for like the next year, I basically just started finding, like I found where I could get a tube made. I found where I could get a lid made. Found where I could get a box made. And then I found where in the country that I could actually get the shit worked. And get somebody to fill it for me.
Right.
So, because a lot of places I would call, first of all, it's a very unique item,
Yeah.
right? So it's like finding a bottling company, right? If you're making a beverage, you want to find a bottler, right? So for me though, I was like trying to get a tube. There's only like 3 places in the United States that currently fill tubes, right? And those 3 places, one of them has got a 1 million unit minimum per SKU, right? And I'm like, well, bro, I think I got a cool idea.
Right.
You know, I don't think it's that cool.
Right.
I don't have that much scrap.
They're filling
right?
those Minute Maid.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
Minute Maid
It was
accounts.
actually that
Yeah.
facility. The facility that manufactured the Minute Maid, right? And then there was another that they were like, nah, we don't do anything outside. We just do our own stuff. We're not doing anything for anybody else. We're not creating competition. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then, but then there was a little spot down in Tampa that I found, and they're like, yeah, we'll run it for you. Cool. Set it up. So I went down there, and I gave my little recipes, you know, and they filled the first batch.
So you trust them to make the product and fill the tubes
Well,
without
I gave
you
them
being
everything to do it.
right.
But then they have a successful business. The company's called Philly Swirl.
Right.
Philly Swirl
Yeah,
was
I'm
then
familiar with
randomly
that.
bought out by the Minute Maid people.
Yeah.
So the Minute Maid people bought the Philly Swirl people. You know, so you know, that's like, you know, but that's another story. But yeah, so they filled it, and so that first batch cost me like $43,000, right? So, and I didn't have a fucking dollar, right? Because my ice cream stores went out of business, okay? My tour had ended. I sold that to my partner, right? And I caught a little bit of change, but not anything that was that magnificent. It was enough to live on for a little while, right? While I figured out the next trick.
The next
right?
move,
Yeah, exactly. So I got a job hustling organic cleaner at the BJ's Wholesale Club. So you know when you go to BJ's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they was always sampling some sort of product
Yeah.
to get you to buy it?
Oh, I hate those
I
guys.
was that dude. Okay? I was that dude.
Yeah.
And I used to set up, I had an organic cleaner. I would set up in the produce section okay? And I put on a fucking show, right? It was like a sermon, right? By the time you were done with it, I drank the shit at the end of it. And I was in the produce section. I was like, yo, this is a great cleaner, right? Like, they were ready to give me stock in the company because I was killing it so hard, right? But I was in my mind, I was like, yo, I got to make $43,000 and fast. And these guys paid really good if I sold a lot. And I was like, well, I can fucking sell this. This is easy. It's organic. It's a cleaner.
Yeah.
No one, I can drink it. Yeah. And it takes spray paint off the carpet. Yeah, I'm down. Sign me up. I'll sell. So I sold it like a motherfucker for like 6 months, right? Stacked all the dough I could, right? And I put it down on that first batch. Now, I didn't know if this shit was going to work. And here's the other fucked up part, right? When that 18-wheeler pulled up with 5,000 cases of product, and put it into a little warehouse in Brooklyn that I was now paying $3,000 a month to store, right? I was like, well, this shit better work, right? But then I met with all of the big distributors in New York, and I was like, here, try my product. It's really fucking good. It's got non-GMO. It's this, that, and the other. And they all just looked at me like, yeah. And New York's got enough fruit bars. We don't need more fruit bars. This won't work here, right? And I remember being like, well, fuck, dude. It has to work. You don't understand. You know, I've just spent every single dollar I have. If this doesn't work, I'm fucked. Yeah. Right? So I did a little crowdfunder for a van. I got $5,000 from family and friends. You know, one of those little like Kickstarter type things, right? Got the van, and I literally it was the end of April, like April 29th, 2014. I got in the van and started driving from one store to the next. April 29th, I opened up the Dominguez Grocery. Dominguez Grocery in Bushwick, Brooklyn, took 2 cases of product. That was the first store. He still buys them today, right? By the end of that summer, I had sold into over 500 locations in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Okay? But the crazy part was about a month in, right? So kind of like the end of May, the end of May. I went back to some of those stores that I had first sold it to, and the shit was gone. And I was like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Because in my mind, I was like, all right, this 18-wheeler just pulled up. I'm going to fucking sell this shit. Yeah. I'm going to transfer the fucking ownership. Somebody else is going to own this box, right? I'm going to get my money back. Worst case. Yeah. That's happening, right? But the trick, when it started to sell, I was like, oh, snap. This is working. Oh, that's kind of cool, right? Now I don't have to sell as hard because I could just place it, come back in a couple of weeks, and I got to restock it, right? So... And I was getting so many tickets, I put out a little Facebook post like, yo, because New York City attacks you like a motherfucker. New York City police generate over $1 billion a year in ticket revenue, okay? When my accountant looks at my books and he sees all of the tickets that I get in New York, he's like, what the fuck are you doing, right? I'm like, yeah, I have to get drivers, right? Because they get that many tickets. So I was getting like a ticket a day, anywhere from $35 to $115, right? A day.
Just from parking outside the...
Just park. You're trying to run into the store, come out, double parked in front of a fire hydrant. You're looking around, there's no cops, you know. Store owner inside. There's somebody bitching about the price of something. You're like, dude, just buy it. I've got to get that. I got a ticket. This guy keeps coming, right? You're like, move along. You know, you're trying to get the store owner to just, get it in, get on, right? So I got a homeboy of mine came out, got in the van. He drove me around, helped me cut down on the tickets. But by the end of the first summer, we were in over 500 locations in Brooklyn. Brooklyn alone. By year 2, we were in over 2,000 locations in New York City. We hit all the boroughs. I started calling up some friends. I was like, okay, this shit's fucking working. Yeah. So I started calling up friends saying, hey, look, you know what? Look, I got something that works. If you're interested, I can come to you and train you on how to do it. So 2 of the guys that started with me in New York, they were like, man, this shit is fucking great. We want to keep doing this, right? Where can we go? I'm like, well, where do you want to go? They're like, we want to go to Southern California. I'm like, well, fuck that. Me too. Let's go, right? So that winter, 2016, we went to Southern California. And we shipped out a bunch of pallets, a gang of us. We all stayed at a fucking hostel. We were over by LAX. Okay. We were at the Adventurer Backpacker Hostel. The place is fucking swanky as fuck, right? Yeah. I mean... like they shoot pornos there, okay? So you could buy any drug you want in different rooms, right? It was like the first Hyatt hotel. They had chandeliers in the rooms and cockroaches, right? The owner of the hotel lived there in the room way down the end, was always hammered, walking around, falling into the fucking pool, right? Like this guy was A+, right? Like just with the story, right? We're all there, like 6 deep in a 2-bed. Everybody, every day we went out, got in the cars, just fanned out all over LA, right? We hit Vegas the same way. We hit Denver, Colorado the same way. We hit Salt Lake City, Utah the same way. So we started carving out the West Coast. So we carved out Baltimore, Maryland, and we carved out down to Ocean City, Maryland. That lady that wrote the letter to Oprah Winfrey, we carved out Indianapolis, Indiana, right? So we started carving out, and that's what I did here. We came down, we spent a couple of weeks, we opened up the market, and now we turn the keys over, right? It's like our Stock Your City program, right? That's what we do. We say, hey, look, you want to get in? Because we're trying to take out the big guys. We got Nestle and Unilever. They're trying to fuck us up at every stop, right? They own all of the equipment. It's like Coke and Pepsi, right? So it's this massive game. But the only way you can fuck with them is at these low levels, right? Because the powers that be, if you try to get into like Walmart, Nestle and Unilever, they're going to stop you, right? Or you're really going to tax you. But at these smaller independent spots,
the bodegas, you need
the bodegas, the corner stores, the Latino groceries, the small format neighborhood grocers, the small natural food stores, because a lot of the small natural food stores are owned by family members.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you remember back in the day, there was that weird kid in your class who ate funny stuff, right?
Cornish hens and shit, you know?
Weird stuff. Yeah, you're like, who is this guy? And it got mom and dad had him eating weird vitamins, right? And you were like, now those guys became like these amazing health food store owners, right? So it's like, but all of that is there. So that low-hanging fruit that you can grab and start to build the market. 7-Eleven, same thing. You could walk into the 7-Eleven because 7-Eleven's a franchise, right? The owner is behind the counter, generally, right? And Jay will tell you one of the biggest tricks for us is just getting the owner. Because once you walk in and the owner's there, it's like you're saying, the owner's there, they feel you. They're just like you.
Right.
They're like, yo, this guy is making it happen just like me.
I bought $250 worth of coconut snacks.
Hey, I'm saying,
So I want to rewind because there's a lot of things that I wanted to ask you about the journey along the way. You said the product was unique and it was hard to find someone who was going to make it. And you also said that there was a point in time where you were like, oh shit, like this is working. So what made the product unique, and why do you think at that point it was working? Like what differentiated you from? Why would somebody go in and see your pop and Minute Maid and pick yours?
Well, we didn't cut corners, one. So the quality of the product is high. I
notice your shirt says we don't mess with the fruit or whatever.
We don't fruck with corn syrup.
Okay.
We don't fruck with corn syrup.
So there's no corn syrup in it?
No corn syrup. Simple ingredients, clean label, 4 to 6 ingredients, like fruit water, a little bit of cane sugar, and a plant. Super simple. They're vegan, they're non-dairy. But honestly, I didn't make these things to be all of those things. I made these things to taste good. Because fundamentally, my test kitchen was Coney Island, Brooklyn. I had a little stand.
Right.
And people were just telling me what they liked and didn't like, and I just listened,
That's tight.
And, but from so that was number one, okay? But we paid attention to the style of the package, right? Our graphic designers are dope. So it was bright, it was colorful, it was fresh, it was exciting, it was different. We had slogans like, we don't fruck with corn syrup, we plaster it everywhere. We said another one says the most fruit in the freezer. It's a real bully, with our marketing, right? It turns a point of sale. And we posted like a motherfucker. Put up a lot of posters, a lot of stickers at the point of sale. Like people are like, oh, you gotta be big on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But this is a frozen product. Right?
Yeah.
So like really what I'm trying to do is be big when you walk in the store. So when you walk in the store, this poster tells you, we got the most fruit in the freezer. We don't fruck with corn syrup. What is this?
Right.
Oh, it's that bright, shiny thing,
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, and I take it out and it's $2. You're like, this is a good price, You peel the cap, you take, oh, this is fucking good. So that's the thing.
You got a customer.
Ultimately, it has to taste good. Right? That's ultimately. So that, I think, was the point of differentiation, because up until that point, there was nothing in New York that was as healthy as us, right? And so we were kind of in line with the trend, with people, what they were looking for.
Right.
So we were kind of, and that's like what we were talking about before the show started, when I was like, yo, I go from neighborhood to neighborhood. And the year before, it was like fucking, 35 dudes standing on a street corner, and in the following year is a white lady walking her dog. Right. I'm like, well, neighborhoods are changing, tastes are changing, but the other thing is every single demographic, if you study, every demographic is now following a healthier outlook.
Yeah.
Whole foods, minimal ingredients. They're reading the labels. Right.
It's blowing up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Everybody's vegan. Everybody's this. Everybody's that.
And it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. You can live in the deepest, darkest part of Liberty City, Miami, or you can live on South Beach. You are knowing when someone says all natural, organic, you're like, that's better for me. Right? That's better for me. Oh, what's in this? I never heard of that. What's red number 40? Right? Why do I need that in my body? People are talking about it now more than ever. And in 2014, when I started, no doubt about it, we were a little bit ahead of the trend line. A little bit ahead. For sure. Okay? Yeah. So I remember those distributors looking at me like, nobody asked me about GMOs. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. They don't need to ask you about GMOs. Not worried about you. Not really worried about you. So being a little bit ahead of the trend line helps, Yeah.
So I watched like your vlogs and stuff, which are sick, dude. And so you were talking about walking into the store and people saying no to you, right? Which I'm sure happens all the time. So let's talk a little bit about sales tactics, right? Because I know that people listening out there can benefit from that. No matter what line of work you're in, if you could, if you have sales skills, you're going to be, a higher notch up from everyone you're competing with. But what is your sales approach? How do you handle people saying no? Tell, the listeners, because it's got to be hard going into a 7-Eleven talking to, maybe someone who's not, American, selling them a freaking, box of ice pops.
Oh, no, indeed. I mean, and look, number one, you start to understand customs too, okay? Like walking into Asian stores, they don't shake your hand because they don't like germs. Right. So and naturally, when I first started, I was sticking out my hand, and I would get and I would feel like, what the man? Yeah, I'd feel disrespected.
They push the hand away. They push the hand away.
Right. But then I learned they don't like germs, and I'm like, oh, so I shouldn't stick my hand. I should just go, how are you? Right. So I started to do that. So with Asian customers, especially Chinese customers, I started to do well, right, or just to do better. So I understood customs. Right. The other thing is I started to understand a lot of our customers were from India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, and we get our mangoes from India, right? Some of the best mangoes on planet Earth come from that part of the world, right? The sweetest mangoes, right? So I started to make sure that I included that in my conversation with them. So understanding your audience, number one.
Would you say it's kind of like a mirroring technique for sales?
I don't know the words. I just know it's like for me, apply it back to music. Know your audience.
Right. Know your audience, relating to the person you're trying to connect with.
Indeed.
Rapport.
Maybe. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. Is if I look around a store, I see things. I case the store out before I walk in.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm dealing with, and I know if they try to give me an excuse like, "Oh, I don't have any room," I'm like, "Bullshit, bro! I can land an airplane in your freezer." Okay, I just scoped it out. There's a fucking corner spot over there. I could put it right in over there. So I know where I'm going to put the product before they answer that. Or if I see something, I'm like, okay, I can move that. I can move that. I got room right there. Right. So I know where the product can be placed. Right. So I start to overcome some of the objections before I walk. Because here's the thing. It doesn't matter what you're selling. There are always going to be about 5 or 6 different things that somebody can tell you. And it's just some variation of that. Right. I don't have space. I'm not the boss. I don't have any money. It's not my machine. There's only certain things that they can tell you, right? So after a while, you start to develop an answer for every single one. Now, I always, whatever they tell me the first time, I don't fucking listen. So if he's like, I'm not the boss, I just keep going. Right. I don't care. I completely ignore it. He never even said it, right? Or she never even said it, okay? Then they say it a second time, I address it. Right. Okay? They go, well, like I said, I'm not the boss. I understand that, okay? I get it. But I'm sure the boss would like it if you took advantage of this. Took the initiative. And I pitch him again, right? Now, if they hit me with the objection the third time, now I know it's real. And then I start to get into I'll make a quick deal. I said, well, I'm sure the boss, look, I know you're getting into this deal, buy 4, you get 1. I'm sure the boss will let if you just bought 1 case. It's mixed. There's 4 different, like, dilute the risk.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's only $24.
Right.
Right? I'm not asking you for $100. It's barely anything coming out of the register, and you're going to double your money on every single one.
Right.
Right? So that's like kind of my last,
last straw.
Reduce it down to a really, really small, super low risk. And I always try to throw in something like, you'll be an employee of the month, man.
Get them laughing, get them feeling
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And the first thing I always say, these guys will laugh at it, right, is that the first thing I always say, oh, I'm not the boss. But but you look like the boss.
Ooh,
Yeah.
they're smiling
They like
now.
that. They like that. Yeah, they do. They do. They like that.
So tell me a typical day here, or scouting a new area. How many stores would you go into, and how many stores would you come out of with a transaction completed?
Sure.
If you could put a number on it.
It's a typical day. Okay, a typical day. I think you can walk into as many as 50 stores in one day. Okay, if you plan your day, right? If you take a look at, you pull up the map, you search a few keywords, so you start to identify different streets. You want to plan your day, and that's one of the big things. You got to plan your day out, right? You got to. If you just get in the car and drive around aimlessly, you're going to see 5 or 6 stores. You're going to get, if you get shot down 5 or 6 straight times, you're going to be depressed. You're gonna be, I'm done with this. Fuck
Taking
this.
lunch.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm on to lunch, and then the girl calls me, and then it's like,
Yeah.
So, but if I plan my day out and I go into 50 or 60 locations, right?
You got to hit 6 stores an hour for 8 hours or whatever.
Because in New York, we got a rule that you don't go home until the boxes are sold. So whatever you take out, you sell. That's just all there is to it, because it's a frozen product.
Right.
So you got a shot clock.
Yeah.
Right. That shit's gonna melt if you don't sell that shit in a certain window of
You
time.
can't refreeze it because then you get burned, right?
Nah.
Yeah.
And when they take it out, they own it.
Right.
So I'm like, you gotta sell that shit.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever you're taking, you gotta sell it. And of course, I tell them.
These are your team you're talking about, right? Yeah.
Tell them, oh, you're only taking 30? Really? Come on, man. You can do better than that.
Yeah.
Really? 30? Come on. You're not even gonna hit the bonus taking 30. But that kind of push them. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The same token is because you can hit that many. And look, I always tell people I divide a day into 4 quarters. Okay. It's like the NBA. Everybody makes a run, right? So it's 4 quarters in the game. First quarter, first couple hours of the day. Second quarter, second couple hours. Third quarter, fourth quarter, etc. Right? And I tell people, like, look, it doesn't matter. Trust the game.
Yeah.
Okay? Trust the game. Because if you don't sell a damn thing in the first quarter, or you don't sell a damn thing in the whole first half, don't worry, you still got the whole second half to play. And keep in mind, you could be a second half player. Right? Some people are just better second half players. Here's the other thing, too. You know how sometimes in the first half of the game, shit doesn't go your way. Right? You might throw an interception. Right. You can't get the rhythm of the game. Right? You're having a tough day. Right? You just can't get your rhythm to your sales. Well, you keeping that mentality. Is 4 quarters to this game. Third quarter, fourth quarter. And you know what always happens? Like clockwork, and Jay will tell you, like clockwork, you keep pushing, and all of a sudden, you hit a hit.
Yeah.
And then it spirals. And the next thing you know, you're like, I just sold to 6 straight stores.
Right.
Wow. I had 30 cases, but 4 straight stores took 5. Now I only got 10 left. Boy, it's feeling light.
Right.
I'm glad I took at least 30 today. It's like, and look at all this money I got in my pocket, right? So it's like this moment, but you got to trust it. And you got to remember 4 quarters. And you got to also keep in mind, if you got a lot of products to lift in the truck and you're hitting that 4th quarter, it's time to run the no huddle.
Yeah.
Right? You got to run the no huddle. You got to start thinking to yourself, okay, I got to be really quick.
Yeah.
No bullshit from one spot to the next. I'm in, I'm out. I'm in, I'm out. Right? So that, in my mind, is the biggest thing. Is make sure that you don't lose you're mentally fucking strong.
Yeah.
Right? You watch that motherfucker Tom Brady, right? That guy never, ever loses it, right? I mean, he gets angry, but he's angry because he's passionate, right? But he's mentally strong. He's like, it doesn't matter that they just scored a touchdown and it's the 4th quarter and there's a minute and a half left. And then he goes and drives for a touchdown.
Right.
And then the team scores another one and he's like, I only have 17 seconds left. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm still going to win the game, right? So that's the mental stamina that you got to have when you're out there. Like, all right, you know what? Okay, so they said no, they said no, they said no, they said no. I know I'm still a badass motherfucker.
Right.
It's going to be okay. I'm going to get to the 3rd quarter and I'm going to keep pushing. And like clockwork, you trust the game, you trust yourself, and that shit happens.
Yeah.
always happens.
So
I've never had a
50.
day.
So 50 stores in one day. How many you think you would walk out
honestly,
leaving product in their store?
It just depends upon how many bosses I see.
Yeah.
If I have, and here's the other thing too. If I have 35 cases, I'm gonna sell 35 cases. I'm not going home until it's done.
That could be in 20 stores, or that could be in 10
be
stores.
In 20, it could be in 7, it could be in 70.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I want to ask is I just feel like people are lazy, you know, and I feel like Americans just complain about shit.
It's America,
and people want to say, "Oh, there's no work. I can't find a job," you know, and I just want to get your take on that, like. Someone be complaining to you maybe, and they say, "Oh, I can't find work. I can't find a job. I'm not." What would be your response to that?
Well, it's funny because I was talking to a homeboy of mine who wants to bring the product to Seattle, right, today, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I really think we could do a lot out here because we got this funny thing out here. It's the $15 minimum wage," and he's like, but you know, because he's a musician, he sells music, right, and he has everybody on commission, and he said the first thing I do when somebody tells me, they're like, "Well, what happens if I don't sell enough? Do I still get the $15 an hour?" He goes, "You're not hired."
Right.
It's just it. Like, it's not for everybody.
Right.
That's the other thing too, right? You can't make somebody be a salesperson, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who wants to, and here's the other thing too. We're all salespeople in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of you finding what you give a fuck about.
Right.
Because when you give a fuck about something, right, then you will sell it.
Right.
Because you care about it. Right? It's like the whole thing, like, you got to care about what you're selling. That's the goddamn truth. Because if you don't care about what you're selling, you're wasting your damn time. You're not only wasting the customer, meaning the store owner or whoever you're selling's time, but you're wasting your own time. Right? You're not getting the most. And this, look, it gets back to the whole, like, you only have one life to live. Like, but that's the goddamn truth. I was at Morgan Stanley. Right? When I came out of college, I started at Morgan Stanley, right? I was selling stocks and bonds. I was teaching old people what to do with their money, right? Wealthy people, right?
Yeah.
And every time I'd sit across from them, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck about this. I fucking hate this. And it was written all over my face.
Yeah.
And like, they would look at me and they would give me excuses and I'd be like, I don't fucking care what you have to say. Just buy the shit, right? So it's like, I wasn't happy, right? So it's like, I could have a great year selling, but I know, like, my manager would be like, "Man, you could do so much more." And I'd be like, I don't give a fuck, bro. Yeah. All I want to do is clock out.
Would you say that you care more now about the process and being an entrepreneur? And, like, let's just say, take the Cool Suppliers company off the table. If you were doing something else that you were passionate about, would you still have the same drive? Or is the passion strictly about the treat and the snack that you're selling, or are you more in love with the process? Because I think that, like, every day when I wake up, you know, like, I can look at it as like, yo, I fucking make smoothies for a living, you know? But, like, it's so much more than that, right? So it's like, it's you know, I'm a boss, I have employees, I'm fucking HR, you know, I'm an accountant, you know, like, I pay the rent, like, I do all this shit, and it's like, sometimes I'm just like, dude, it's like, I own a juice and smoothie bar, but it's not about the fucking juice. Right. You know, like, yeah, I'm passionate about it because it's healthy, just kind of like, you know, similarities.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, do you feel, like, more passionate about the actual product or, like, the process and being a business owner?
Dope. The process is dope. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, there's a, you know, when I was at Morgan Stanley, my biggest clients all had their own shit. And I always felt like half a man talking to them. You know, and I was always like, man, motherfucker, this guy knew what he wanted. He went and got it. Right. And here I am trying to tell him what to do with his money. Fuck me. Yeah. You know, like, I just felt like that, you know, but, like, so the process, no doubt about it, dude. Like, it's like, and it's funny that you say that, like, you know, I am finding that I wear far too many hats right now, you know. Right. You probably feel that way too, you know, and it's like, so for me right now, the biggest thing for me as an entrepreneur is figuring out how to hire more people to offload the shit that I'm not good at. Right. Accounting scares me. Right. I mean, I love it, but it scares me in the sense that, like, I don't want to think about forecasting. Right. Although I do it, you know, but it takes me so damn long to get that done. I find a million other things that I have to get done, you know, like, oh, the fridge needed to be rearranged, you know, like, right. Shit, bro. But, like, that for me right now is more than anything is, like, yes, the process, but, like, Now, as an entrepreneur, I'm like, I need to delegate. I need to find people that are better than me at these respective positions and just continue to do what I do best.
Right. Our last episode, we had someone who claimed to be an entrepreneur, and like I asked him, I said, like, what qualifies you to call yourself that? Because there are so many fake people on the internet who say they're an entrepreneur, and they have a fucking Instagram account that says they're an entrepreneur, and they rent a car and take a fucking picture by it and all that shit. I'm like, what gives you the right to call yourself that? And I know this guy, and I know his background, his history. He says, I'm building a business, I own a company, I have employees. There is a process that I've followed, you know, and that's why I call myself that. And I'm like, that's a really good way to put it,
Sure.
Because it is a term that's thrown around lightly, but
what's funny is I'll be honest with you, like when I first heard the term, I was in college.
Yeah.
So that for me, I'm like, fuck, dude. Like I lived a misguided life for a long period of time, right? But I will tell you, I had a friend of mine's father was an entrepreneur. And I remember looking at him being like, man, that motherfucker just does his own thing.
Right.
Shit, like he just built that shit. Wow. And then I remember, though, but being in college, like I heard the word entrepreneur, and I'm like, that's such a weird word. I don't even know how to spell it. I still have a hard time spelling it now.
Yeah,
you
it's
have a hard time
tough.
spelling that
It's
word?
one of them funky words.
It's a fucking tough word to spell.
Siri helps me out.
Yeah. And what's funny, too, is I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. I should know how to spell this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
E-U
But like,
and U-E.
and if I send an email and I have it spelt wrong, I'll be like, fuck, like, because it's easy, that E and that U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It fucks you up, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So how many people are on your team?
There is 12 people currently that draw income from what we do.
Okay.
12 that draw income, I would say. But there are 4 people who are on a payroll.
I feel like I'm hogging all the questions. Do you guys want to? I'm just flowing with the convo. I mean,
No, it's
I don't.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. So like, when you go into a store, you like down here, New Market, right?
Sure, yeah,
you canvass the area. I'm sure you close deals.
Technically,
you
it's
got
14 people now because we got the 2 guys down here. That
Fucking A right, dude.
And one guy set up an event today. He made about $500 or $600 today.
Go.
So
Right on, right on.
Yeah. Just randomly booked it too. Yeah.
So I'm curious as to how the process works once you get your product in the store. Obviously, there's no contracts. You're doing a $20 to $50 transaction maybe for a box or two. Like
Sometimes 100, but yeah, generally $20 to $100. Yeah.
So is it whoever makes that initial transaction? Is it part of their responsibility to go back on a certain time frame?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, absolutely.
Is it
Yeah.
as hard as it is that initial time? Like when they go back, like if the product is still there or if it sells, like are they automatically buying more or is it?
Yeah, so absolutely. And it's like, so if you and Jay was with me the other day, like we started going, like some accounts, it's gone. So the nice thing, I always tell people like, look,
They don't ever call you when it's gone.
now, sometimes they do,
Okay.
but generally speaking, they don't. No, they don't. They don't because they got too many other things going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You look at a store, there's how many
Holy
SKUs.
shit, a fucking
Yeah.
convenience store, 7-Eleven,
my
gummy worms and
Right,
chips and
right.
how many Frito-Lay and how many
Yeah.
companies come in there stocking
Yeah,
shit.
I know.
It's insane.
It's like, I don't know how they do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's too many. Wow, right? You want to talk about accounting, right? But like, yeah. So some people, you walk in, the product's gone. That's an easy one, right? Hey, it's all gone. You need more, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll walk in and not a single one was sold, and you're like, motherfucker, I was here a month ago. How
Yeah.
did not anything sell? Then you got to start to analyze. Well, what went wrong?
Right.
Okay. Is there a poster on the freezer? Is there a poster on the door? Is there some sort of call to it? Why is there no one buying this?
Yeah.
Is there nobody in the store? Sometimes you can walk into a store and that owner has a long time to talk to you and nobody comes in to buy some shit while you're in there.
You know
You're like,
something's
I
up."
should sell this guy 5 cases and hope that because he might never buy again.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that can happen because his store could suck. That happens too, right?
And do they give you like a certain amount of space like to put your poster or how is that an
we
issue
try to
too?
take as much as we can.
Yeah.
Always. I think the better to beg forgiveness than ask permission.
Right.
We throw up posters everywhere until
so
they
you
tell
don't
us.
even like ask them. You just
Generally,
yeah. No, I fuck with that.
I
fuck
just
with
put
that.
it up.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause it's
Put it
huge,
up.
yeah, when
and
I
they
walk
tell me,
in-
hey, you can't put that there. Oh, my bad, man. Are you sure? Just for the week.
Right.
Just leave it up for a week. It's a new product.
Right.
It's blocking the other stuff. Yeah, but it's been there for years.
Right.
No one's gonna forget that it's there, right? So it's like you have, and a lot of times they'll be like, all right, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
And then it stays up for a month,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, yeah, right?
Because they're not taking it down.
Nah, they don't give a shit. Because
Yeah.
really, they don't care. It's just a small control thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could walk in, and so is it difficult? Yeah. Sometimes you got to walk in, you got to resell them, right? So
Yeah.
you got to be like, man, look, it's sold out. I don't want it. What do you mean you don't want it? It's all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I ate half of them. Well, you can't eat them all. You know? Take
Fred.
2 cases, one for the house and one for
Right,
the store. You
right.
got customers. You know it's good.
Yeah.
You liked it. You tried it. You know how good it is. Sometimes you have to do that.
Right.
Sometimes you walk in and it's gone. Like we walked to the store the other guy was like, yo, man, this shit was gone in a week. You need to come back faster. You know, and you're like, oh, okay. Damn. All right, cool. Take 2 cases.
Right.
Yeah.
Take more, right?
The reason why I ask is I just think that in today's day and age, like, vigilance is such an important trait to have,
Yeah,
and
for
you
sure.
have to be on top of your shit. Like,
Sure.
and that's part of the thing with me, you know, owning the business and learning as I go is that, like, nobody is going to do anything for you.
Right.
And if you want to get something done, like, it's your sole responsibility to do it. No one's going to help you to do it. And even little things like you call a company to say, oh, you know, follow up with me on this day or what. They don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody does it.
No.
Yeah.
And like I've learned that like
good-
if the
good people
ball's
do,
in
though.
your court,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
forget it. And
Yep.
like and I know that like if I don't stay on top of the shit,
Yep.
nobody does their job.
Yep. No.
Basically,
it's
is
scary.
what it comes down to.
It's scary. It's scary
You know?
because like I deal with that, and you deal with that as a boss, right?
Right.
As a boss, and I always have to remember, like, all right, there ain't nobody gonna go as hard as me. It's just all there is to it, right? I'm the motherfucker that started
Exactly.
it. I'm the motherfucker that pays the bills. So as a result, I have to go. That's what I signed up for, to go the hardest, right?
Yes.
And when you find people that are willing to go nearly as hard, you got to keep them tight, right?
Pay them.
But you're gonna be disappointed fucking regularly.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Prime example, right? There's this company called DoorDash. I'm sure you guys are familiar
Oh,
with
yeah,
them.
no
they
DoorDash.
fucked
Similar
me the
to
other
Uber
week.
Eats and all this
Yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
There's
everyone
100
wants
of
to,
them.
you know, they want to get you on their platform. They want to take 30%. Okay, whatever, dude. It's good publicity for the company. Like you're getting the product out there, right? 4 times in a row, they call the orders in, right? Because they want to charge you for a tablet. So I'm like,
Right.
all right, I'll try it for free. Call the orders in. 3 times I asked them, change the phone number that you're calling because it's calling my cell phone. It needs to go to the store, right?
Yeah.
So every time they call, I say, please change your phone number. Oh, yeah. And it's somebody in fucking
Yeah.
India, you know,
Doesn't
whatever.
give
So then I canceled the shit, right? I said, don't send me no orders, right? Cancel the account. Take me off your fucking platform, whatever.
Yeah.
The next day, I get an order.
Yeah.
They're still sending me orders. I'm like, oh my God. So what do I got to do? I got to call the fucking DoorDash police?
They fucked me the other week too. We
real?
ordered
How,
some shit
dude?
there for work. I paid for it with my company credit card, and I tipped online. So you do the tip like
While
before they
yeah.
do the delivery, and then the delivery person came and they're like, "No, we don't get a tip." And then somebody else was
Oh,
signing the
so
thing
they
and
had-
fucking double tipped
Dude,
Oh,
we
shit.
because
gotta-
they
we gotta
fucking bullshit. They're like,
investigate,
"No, the tip's not in the thing."
That's why I like Uber,
And
dude.
then I
They
saw
don't
them,
mess
like,
with
what
the
the fuck?
tips. They don't expect no tips.
yeah,
like
I'm like,
you don't
what
get
the
no
fuck,
tips.
man?
They
We
get
tipped
they
that
get a
person
piece.
$20.
Okay, so people who are listening, maybe who would be into sales or are salesmen, give them your top 3 sales tips.
Oh, well, I mean, it's like, don't quit, obviously, right?
Okay.
I think that's number one. You got to maintain that mental fortitude without a doubt. That's top of the list. And I think, honestly, everything just comes back to that.
Not
like-
giving up, not quitting.
Yeah, and finding the way to get the deal done, right? Like I have had, like I'm selling to investors right now, right? So I have, because we're growing at a rate that I'm like, shit, I can't personally keep up with this anymore, right? So I've got to sell pieces of the company to raise capital. So as I'm doing that, I am now like, okay, I can't fail, right? I can't quit. I've got to continually to put myself out there, right? So it's hard to say like top 3 things, but other than, don't quit, put yourself out there, keep going, right? Always, because if you really give a fuck about it, you're gonna find the way. You always will, and it's amazing how that happens. I mean, I can't. Like just recently, so we've come under heavy fucking fire from big competitors, right? like they want to put us out of business, right? Like they're taking giant swings. Our manufacturing facility cut us off, right?
Wow.
They were like, yeah, we're not going to run the product for you anymore. So I'm like, okay, that's a fucking problem. Right? Like, I don't have shit to sell, right? I have tons of fucking stores that want to carry our shit, right? So I had to make the jump into manufacturing, right? Where I was like, I got to go find this equipment, you know? And it's like, now I got to find the money to buy the equipment. Now I got to find the money to finance and run the equipment. Now I got to enter this whole new process, right? So it's like,
But that is such a blessing.
and it's like,
You're going to have your own shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Tell me about it. That's it.
You're going to be fucking Breaking Bad over here. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly what I said. See, you got the right attitude.
Yeah, that's a problem,
That's the
but it's a good problem.
But it's long term, a major fucking win.
Right.
Yeah.
Short term, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know? But
More
find a way.
more stuff on the plate for you.
Yeah. Well, and it's more stuff that you're like, yo, if I was drinking,
Right.
or I was fucking getting fucked up, smoking, doing some shit, right? I wouldn't get it done.
No way to mentally
Fuck no.
figure it out
Fuck no.
when you're wasting time and space like that.
Yeah.
Whew.
That's a lot. Yeah.
All right. So this episode's brought to you by D Squared Media.
You don't say.
D Squared Media is our faithful sponsor.
Hit 'em with it.
And they are specializing in web design, graphic design, business branding. Danny and his team have helped us leaps and bounds with our website. You can check that out, theeverydayhustleshow.com. And my website as well was done by them, andrewnice.com. And if you are looking to get a t-shirt or want to support the podcast, you could do that there. We appreciate all the feedback you guys have been giving us. Subscribe to the show, leave a rating if you care to support us that way. Every comment, every like, every share means a lot. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there as far as the sponsor goes. But you guys have
You forgot 10% off, dude.
Oh my God, Jesse,
Son
let
of
him
a
know.
bitch, dude.
You son of a
Jesse, let them know how they
You
can
get
save money.
Motherfucking 10% off. If you do what?
Just tell Danny and his team that you found their information on the podcast. Just say the code EDH.
Dude, the fucking code.
Motherfucking EDH.
So Timmy, how can people reach out to you? How can they find you? Maybe someone owns a store, they want to get their product in, or maybe they want to, maybe they have an idea, or maybe they want to work for you. How can they find you?
For me,
Street team.
Yeah, Timmy Grins. Just Google my name. It's that's one. But I'm Timmy Grins everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, etc. Right. You can call my cell phone. It's 443-857-8775. Right, ring right to my hip. That's usually the easiest thing to do. Send me a text. But I am looking for reps in the top 30 markets in the United States. Currently, we've got representation in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Baltimore, D.C., New York, obviously, Boston, Metro. Now here, Miami Metro, Indianapolis, Indiana. We're looking to get into Chicago. But I'm looking for the top 30 markets. So if you happen to live... If you live in Houston, Texas, if you live in San Antonio, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, you live in the Bay, you live in one of these larger metros, please hit me up. We're looking to stock your city. Because for me, the end games, I think we've got about a 5 to 7 year window before we can really, really break this whole motherfucker open and create something new, lasting, and different, and engineer it very similar to Red Bull. Because the way Red Bull does it is they've done direct sale distribution, right? And that's what we do. We directly bring the product in. And the more and more accounts that we accumulate on a direct sale basis, now we have no middleman, right? So nobody can ever cut us out of the market. Like those same distributors in New York that told me no, right? That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because if I had sold them the product and it didn't work as fast as they needed it to work, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But because I control the distribution of the product, right? Now they can say, fuck you, we don't want you, doesn't matter. Product will keep coming, right? You can't stop us now. So
Cool, man.
top
Awesome
30
stuff.
markets, we're looking for you.
Awesome stuff, man. We appreciate you coming out and spending the time with us. I know I personally have learned a lot and know that there are tons of takeaways in here for people who want to just keep elevating themselves, and that's what the mission of the podcast is take stuff that you hear in the podcast and apply it into your life and keep that forward momentum going. So
no excuses.
Real quick, just on that, like the name of the show, like that's perfect because it's the everyday hustle, right? It's like, because I started this in 2014 and it's one day at a time, right? It gets back to that roomy kind of thing, right? Brother Bill, one day, right? One freezer, one thing, one moment, one quarter, right? Break the day up, right? But it's like literally you have to hustle every day. It's not like I woke up yesterday and created a fucking product and instantaneously put it into 10,000 accounts.
Boom, there's an empire.
Right? No, exactly. It's like, but every day it gets a little more.
Piece by piece.
Right? We got 4 new accounts the other day, right? The last, like, whatever it was, like 30 days, now there's 150 new accounts, right? That the product can now be sold into. And that number is just going to compound as time goes on. Here, right? We're going to Atlanta tomorrow. And I'm going to spend a whole week in Atlanta helping this guy start opening up Atlanta, right? And then we're going to go back to New York, then we're going to hit Philly. But nonetheless, it's that everyday hustle. Doing the same thing every day, right? Now, it doesn't have to be routine.
Right.
Because routines will kill us. We'll get bored of it, right? We'll go, oh my God. But there is an element of routine, of simultaneous, or not simultaneous, but similarity from one day to the next, and kind of making sure you keep a discipline.
Yeah.
You keep that discipline and you just keep tacking on. I like to say, like, it's one day at a time, but the days add up.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah.
We'll leave you with that, everybody. Awesome. We hope you have a blessed week, and we'll see you on the next one.